Greetings everyone, this is Connor from Dagora TV, and this video is my reaction to the Bethesda E3 2017 press conference. We've got a lot to talk about in this video. Basically, last night, it was the E3 press conference of 2016 for Bethesda. They're now doing it on a yearly thing. They did two very successful ones. This one, not been going down as successful as the last two. I made a couple of claims about what's been going on, and basically what this video is, I'll go down each of the announcements one by one, talk about them a little bit, and give you my general reaction to it. I'm actually recording this video around about like 12-13 hours after the press conference. To be honest, I'm actually glad I'm making this video now, because I've kind of cooled off a little bit, you know. I'm not calmed down, but as soon as that video was as soon as the press conference was kind of finishing, because if you're with the channel, I think you know that was kind of expecting another major announcement to come at the beginning, which I'll get into that when we get later on. But I was kind of expecting a major announcement, so once it was kind of done, I was kind of like, you know, disappointed that it didn't come. You know, the announcements you can kind of feel in. I was pretty disappointed that it didn't happen, and yeah, a few of the commenters that we got on some of my videos were actually right. But anyway, let's give you what my initial thoughts were on the press conference. So overall, the presentation of the conference was fantastic. Like the whole theme park theme, how they kept it all with the music and everything. I thought that was really, really cool. I actually really enjoyed that, you know, kind of copying from game to game to game, not showing a shit ton of, you know, getting people out and talking about the games for ages like that early on. I was kind of happy with that, you know, as it went on. And I'll maintain, which I've said a couple of times actually to friends, you know, outside of YouTube, that if they had that major thing at the end of the conference, I think people would have walked away from this and said, you know, it was really, really good. It's just that, like, it felt like that thing was coming all the way, like a big thing was coming all the way through the conference, like they was kind of getting through these things quickly. Trailer them moving on, trailer them moving on, trailer them moving on, and then it just ended after 35 minutes, which was kind of really, really weird, because, you know, the whole conference was 5 minutes longer than the Fallout 4 showing at 2015's E3, when Todd Howard was on stage for 30 minutes, showed us everything that was basically into the game. And we had that again last year with Dishonored 2, but we didn't have that this year, and it's a shame that we didn't get that this year, because, you know, looking back, I'd let myself get carried away with it, you know. Like, I will gladly say that a lot of it was actually my fault, and none of it was really Bethesda's when it comes down to this, because the stuff was coming out on message boards and game facts and stuff like that, and leaks and everything, or supposed leaks again, which were turned out to be complete bullshit now with what's happened at E3 this year. Also in Starfield, you know, the renewed trademarks, and even like basing off of what Todd Howard said to see us more regularly. Even at last year's Jeff Keighley live show for E3 said he may be here this year. So I kind of ran away with that myself. You know, I got really excited about that. I may have made a couple of claims about Starfield in previous videos. So let's start off with Starfield. Starfield's obviously not been announced, not been officially confirmed to be in development by Bethesda or anything like that, but we're 99.9% sure that it's going to be happening this E3. We're 99.9% sure that it's going to be happening this E3.
We're 99.9% sure that we're 99.9% sure that it's going to be happening this E3.
It turns out that the 0.1% was actually true. 99.9% sure I was that Starfield was going to come out and get a release date for this year. Didn't happen. A couple of people in the comments were trying to calm me down, and I wasn't having any of it. They were right. So, you know, like, I was wrong, you know, to maybe expect, you know, to have a major announcement at the end of it and expect Starfield to kind of come out. And really kind of got let down by that. But that's still not my issue with why I'm disappointed with the conference. That is a major issue with why. But looking back, I'm still disappointed with it, because there was no surprise here at all, in my opinion. Everything here was expected. You know, like, there was nothing here. As soon as they released that image, everyone was like, even within 2 new Wolfenstein. Everyone was like that. And then, you know, when we saw the Amazon thing come out that said there was going to be 3 new games, we was all hoping it was going to be Starfield. And even if it was Starfield, and, you know, we was kind of expecting that to be the surprise, and, you know, to reveal it and everything, like, that would have been, you know, I think that still would have been fine if they didn't have the surprise. But it's just that, you know, everything that was here was either, you know, teased strongly, properly leaked on, like, you know, with real insiders in the industry saying it's happening and everything, that it just really kind of let me down a little bit, and we didn't really get anything here other than Wolfenstein New Colossus, that really got me excited. Let's go anyway, one by one as we go through. So we started off with the show with the VR stuff from last year. I thought it was really cool to see that they wasn't graphically downgraded at all. They all look like the games. And that has looked weird, but you know, it's Vive kind of thing, isn't it? If I had a VR headset, I'd be pumped for this. And there's actually a few people who follow me on Twitter actually who've got a VR headset who tweeted me and said that they are actually really excited now for the whole. For this conference, basically, they were really excited after coming out of it because of the Doom and Fallout 4 VR things. Because these are basically the two major flagship games now, really on VR. You know, like what other games really can kind of challenge this? You know, it's the first proper game that I can really think of. There's on VR. You know, Fallout 4, you can get so many hundreds of hours out of that game, and Doom, you can get about 20-30 hours out of it. And in VR as well, you know, to really challenge and test it out as a first-person shooter or first-person, you know, exploration RPG. It's going to be really interesting to see how that does, and if you are a VR user, really get a hold of that. Because I'd be really excited if I had a Vive now. I'd be very excited to give these games a go and see how they turn out. Because at this moment, when I look at VR as a person who doesn't own one, these are the two games I want to play. Farpoint could be something that we could maybe hear about that tonight at the PlayStation conference. But overall, you know, like these two games are really going to maybe get a lot of the bulk buy purchases from VR to really see how they are. You know, to see a proper game in VR would be really cool. Then next up we had the whole ESO stuff, which went down pretty much as I expected it to be. You know, really kind of show off a bit more of Morrowind. You know, they had a few members of the community showing some reactions and stuff like that. It's actually probably the best use of showing the community I've actually seen in one of these things. I mean, we normally get the bullshit EA ones, you know, where they go around the offices and everything, but they kind of kept that kind of short, which I kind of appreciated, and showed more of the actual kind of game trail and everything and stuff like that, and showed some of the reaction to it, which was interesting. And they actually had a bit of humour in it with, like, you know, they didn't when the guy says they better not kill the bear and stuff like that. I thought, you know, I actually, you know, enjoyed looking through that, and the music and everything was great. And then we got teasers for new DLCs that are going to come on later and on further down. Was ESO Horns of the Reach, which was the Skyrim DLC that's going to be coming out, which is going to be, again, yeah, expanding the Skyrim zone, because, you know, I think we've just got the Rift. And the Rift and the Pale, I think it is, in Skyrim. We've just got Windhelm and Riften, basically. So they'll be expanding that out to, you know, maybe getting, you know, Falkreath in there, Markarth, maybe getting the rest of Skyrim in, which would be really cool to go run around Skyrim. Maybe it'll be an Adventure Zone, maybe they'll be bringing those back. We'll have to wait and see about that. But yeah, Skyrim DLC, really cool to see, you know, going over there. And then Clockwork City, the Dwemer DLC as well, probably going to come out after Skyrim. They seem very early in development, showing a lot of Dwemer stuff. Probably, again, could be one of those single player, it could be like an Imperial City type thing. Again, PvP mixed with, you know, PvE in there and everything. We'll have to wait to find out more about these, but it was cool to get a little tease and everything, what we expected. Then we got the thing that killed the internet. Everyone going crazy about it. The Creation Club, the Bethesda Creation Club. Raise your arms, everyone. Do not give them any money. Bethesda, the most evil company on the planet. Everyone needs to calm down about this one. Everyone needs to, like, really take a step back, really simmer down and look at what it actually is. I'm not going to go real deep into this because I want to wait to Bethesda to kind of give some more answers about everything, because we're still pretty unsure about what this Creation Club thing is. But what they've said so far is that mods that have been currently made are not going on this Creation Club thing. Like, there's no existing mods, which is, you know, thousands and thousands and thousands of mods that are going to be on there, you know, that you can still be able to get. Free mods are obviously still going to be there. People are acting like, you know, free mods are done, basically. You know, they're not done, you know, they're still there. And a lot of this stuff that's coming out is actually in-house development, so it's kind of a bit more down the routes of DLC than it actually is mods. You know, obviously it's still going to have, there was something in there like Dwemer Mud Crab and stuff like that we're going to have to pay for, so there's going to be that bullshit in there. But maybe like quest lines and things like that is going to be, you know, really cool kind of DLC stuff that's got the thumbs up by Bethesda, which is going to be interesting, which is, again, something that really I don't see as a bad thing, if I'm going to be honest with you. Like, we've really wanted more stuff for these games from Fallout 4 and Skyrim from Bethesda Game Studio. We want more content from these games from those guys. And having the, you know, the classic, the stamp of approval by Bethesda, like, yes, this is allowed in the game. This is something that we can put the stamp on and say, yes, this is something that we can really shout out as a big part of the, you know, a big representation of our game that's really cool and we really like. And maybe, you know, the lore-friendly ones, they can give a thumbs up on those ones as well, which would be really interesting. And maybe I'm coming from this point is that I am more than happy to pay for mods. I am way more than happy to pay for them. Like, I'm not one of these people that are like really under the table hiding like, no, I'm not paying for ever pay for a mod. No right to pay for a mod. It's my right not to pay for them, yada yada yada. If you don't want to pay for them, don't pay for them. If you don't want to sign up for this creation club, don't sign up for the damn thing. Like, it's the free mods are still going to be there. Like, the Beyond Skyrim team are still making their mod for free. The guys over at Skyward Sky Oblivion still making their mods for free. There's not this complete change where they force you to pay for mods like there was the last time, like the last time with the whole debacle, where basically everything that was going on the Steam Workshop was going to be charged for. It's not like that. This is mainly stuff that is going to be really content driven, got that stamp of approval by Bethesda to be really published by them and really accepted by them. And it's going to be interesting to see how the revenue breakdown is going to be broken down in between creator and Bethesda, but it mainly looks like a lot of it's going to be in-house again by the in-house development stuff. Maybe every so often when they have like a game jam within Skyrim or something like that, they put that stuff onto the creation club or whatever. That'll be kind of something that'll be really interesting. But again, it's just a thing that we're just going to have to wait and see some of the more stuff about this creation club. I'm definitely going to wait until I go into a full in-depth video on it, but I'm not one of these people that's burning the house down, getting the picket fence and stuff like that, getting the pitchfork and walking out into the streets, trying to get to Maryland to try and stab Todd Howard. You know, I'm not that person, you know? I'm not going crazy right now. I think people need to calm down. It's not the worst thing that's ever happened in video games ever that people are going on about. I know the Bethesda subreddit has gone crazy about this whole thing, but again, the communication from Bethesda about this has been absolutely fucking terrible. Absolutely awful. Like, I'm here... Like, when I first saw it, I saw the credits thing, I was like, wait, paid mods? Is this a thing? And then they on their website, they're saying they're not calling them paid mods. Like, they did say that, like, these are something that's mainly in-house and getting stamped by the, you know, the Bethesda team themselves, Bethesda Game Studios team. And any existing mods can't be put on them, but, you know, they are still going to be paid for, and free mods aren't going away. I'm confused by that, and I think everyone's confused by that, and I think that's why everyone's going a bit crazy about the whole thing. So we're going to have to wait and see about what Bethesda are going to have to officially say a bit more about the whole creation club idea, and we'll see if it goes on. Like, again, I'll say, you know, something that is really good and is a really, really good mod. If they charged, say, Endural, that mod that came out that really changed the game of Skyrim, if they said we want $15 for this mod, I still think that would have been a very successful mod. I would have definitely paid $15 for that because it's such a fantastic mod and stuff like that. Like, again, little ones like Dwarven Mud Crab, which they showed on it, isn't a good image for them, but, you know, again, I'll stress again, we'll wait and see till we get more info on it. Then we had the Elder Scrolls Legends stuff, which was the one of the two games was actually confirmed by Bethesda to be at E3 this year for Bethesda. And basically they announced a few stuff like Chaos Arena, there's going to be a future Dark Brotherhood expansion, quest lines and stuff, and tournaments and things like that. Just nice stuff to kind of push the thing along. And then there's a Heroes of Skyrim expansion coming on the 29th of June 2017. That's something I actually like about the Direwolf Studio guys and the people over at Bethesda Legends, is that once they announce stuff pretty quickly and they just get on with it. You know, they're not these kind of people that have to hype up everything. It's got a nice kind of small, tight-knit community as well, which, you know, I don't think I was expecting to set the world alight, but it is a card game that's... It's got, you know, it's got like that it's got a bit of a hardcore following by the small audience that it's got. You know, people do like that game. It's got a few esports players over there as well, sorry about that. And that really like it, that used to come over from Hearthstone. And left again, like, you know, it's a game that I played a lot in the beta and I enjoyed what I played of it, but I'm not a card game person. If I was a card game person, it seems to go down pretty well with those guys, because it does some stuff different enough to Hearthstone, but still got that polish to do really well with. Then we got the Skyrim Switch version, everything, which... like, this would have been a cool thing to be a surprise if they didn't, you know, have the Nintendo... If they didn't announce it at the Nintendo press conference, but they had it in that trailer and everything when it was announced, which I suppose Nintendo would have wanted to say that first, but everything. But, you know, they've got motion control and they showed it working on the Switch. Motion control's a bit of a gimmick for it, but, you know, like, it's something in there that's kind of using the motion controls and everything to be able to swing the sword and put the shield up and stuff like that. Maybe play around with it once. For the first couple of minutes you get it on the Switch, and then never use it again. Amiibos are able to use, though. You can put Zelda on it and stuff like that, play Zelda. That'd be really cool. I think that's a really cool idea to get, you know, the different types of armor and everything. I thought it was a really cool idea to get the Nintendo fans on board for Skyrim. But yeah, like, Skyrim on Switch is going to do well. If I had a Switch, I'd definitely buy it. You know, it's one of my favourite games ever, you know, as you can imagine. Playing it on the go is a really good idea. So, yeah, that's really cool. And then I think this was the end of the bullshit, you know, like this was the end of the crap, basically, the stuff that we kind of had to sit through that was kind of expecting to get little updates on and stuff like that as way through. And then we got the Dishonored expansion, which I said I put a question mark on it because I thought they maybe have cancelled it due to its poor sales, but no, you are playing as Megan Foster, and if you haven't played Dishonored 2, it's one of the characters that you meet throughout the story of the game and kind of as an ally, and is a really good story about her. So you're playing her side of the story as well, and and then Dowd somehow there as well, who's a character from the series. And it's called Death of the Outsider, which is coming out the 15th of September. I'll definitely have to jump in on this and give it a go. I really love Dishonored 2. That was a fantastic game. Good to get that trailer. As soon as they showed it, I was like really happy that they got it. And then I was very happy to see this, you know, it's a different character planners as well, which is continue with the trend of what really goes on with the Bethesda DLCs for Dishonored. You know, that's what the Arcane DLC, sorry. It's what they tend to do to give you a different character to play, which I thought was cool. Then we got to Quake Champions. Got a nice trailer for it as well, and they showed BJ Blazkowicz, who's the character from Wolfenstein, sorry, the character from the first Wolfenstein, who's going to be a character in Quake Champions. I thought that was a nice thing to kind of bring a bit more of the Bethesda universe over the course of it as well. They announced having a World Championships at QuakeCon this year. It's going to have $1 million prize pool. We'll see how much they kind of support these esports events, if they're going to if it isn't going to be very successful. But it looks like a fun game. It looks a lot like Unreal Tournament to me, to be honest with you. Like, Quake is the original esport, and you know, it's been really kind of, the old one's been really successful and kind of had real longevity to it. And yeah, we'll have to see how Quake Champions does. But personally, it's the thing I'll skip, and I'm not into first-person shooters. They're not really my thing, to be honest with you. But yeah, if you're a competitive first-person shooter, it looks like Quake, something to kind of run around and enjoy. Next up is Evil Within 2, which is a game which, you know, it's a game I'll not play. I thought the trailer looked really interesting. It's a game I'll watch a Let's Play of. I'm just not into playing survival horror games. The first one didn't look like my kind of thing, and this one doesn't either. The trailer was weird. It looked like milk. I don't know what the fuck it was. I don't really know the story of it. It's coming out Friday the 13th of October 2017, a good date for it to come out on. And survival horror fans, I think, will jump on this. It'll do well for them. But again, it's just something that I'm not really interested in. We was expecting it. Again, it was something that was expecting. It's just not something that I'm going to really play, I don't think. But hey, horror fans can jump onto it, and Tango Works seemed to do pretty successfully with the first one to be able to make a second. And then my favourite part of the show coming back was Wolfenstein 2 The New Colossus, which is coming out the 27th of October 2017. Very excited for this. I thought it was a really good trailer. The squad looked cool. Seeing you drop on psychedelics was great. The scene with the dude with the milkshake, the Nazi guy in the milkshake, kind of a little bit of remnants from that scene in Inglourious Basterds when at the card table, you know, when everything's happy and jolly and everything, then he says a couple of things and the tone just goes down, right down. I really like that. I'm looking forward to playing this game. It seems different than the last one. It seems that you actually are gathering around the resistance. It seems that Frau Engel is the main enemy of the game. I'm really looking forward to playing this game. I very much love the Wolfenstein, the first game, and what they released. I think this is going to be fantastic. I can't wait for it. Playing as BJ again, he looks different. They called him William. I couldn't remember the name was William. My friend actually had to tell me that this is BJ Blazkowicz because it looked so different to me. But and I couldn't remember his name was William because I haven't played that game in a while, in a long time. So, but yeah, I'll definitely have to replay that and jump into New Colossus as well. I hope it maintains what the first one had, because the thing I loved about the first one is that you went everywhere in that game. You went absolutely everywhere. You know, you went London, you went into Germany, you went into like a fucking retirement home, you went into space. You know, it was crazy. You went absolutely everywhere, and I hope it maintains that as well. That we jumping around locations, because I really love that in games. I hope New Colossus does it. And I like the idea of the story, and the squad looks cool. It looks like a fun game. It looks really good humor in it as well. And then that was it. That was the end of the show, and I'm gonna give a theory of why I don't think another big announcement was here, and why the show kind of abruptly ended like it did. And you know, I will say, when I was actually watching the show, I was watching it with my friend. We got up especially to it. We got in England. A lot of my audience is in America. In England, I got up at fucking 5 AM to watch this shit. 5 AM to watch a 35-minute conference that was everything I predicted in a video beforehand. But yeah, you know, it was fun. They had fun with it. You know, I thought the whole stuff with the Wolfenstein beforehand, you know, when they're showing the TV stuff, the old movies and everything with the German twist on them, was really fun to watch. But yeah, I think it was like it was built up for that last big announcement. And I still believe that I believe now that Starfield was meant to be announced at this point. I just do believe it. I'm going to say why. You know, I don't think it's a wildly uncommon thing that people were expecting P-House to go. And one last thing at the end of the conference, you know, I don't think that was people were just not expect. People were just expecting that to happen. I watched the end of the Kind of Funny watch along to see what they thought, and they literally just went like to each around one last thing, like he was about to say it. I watched the It's Me JP one, and they said the same joke as well. And everyone was just kind of expecting, you know, just be one last thing to happen. And they had the whole space thing beforehand as well, with the whole. Basically, it was a starfield on the fucking stage behind him. It was a field of stars behind Pete Hines, with Bethesda around it. Stars on the pre-show image. Stars all over the place. It had a countdown like it was a rocket as well. There was a lot of spaceship and a lot of stars around. So that, I still maintain that Starfield was meant to be announced at this show. The reason why, I think, maybe a month ago, or maybe even less than that, maybe a little longer, I think it really short, up close to when they got towards the press conference, Bethesda Game Studios were like, we cannot release this game this year, it's going to be a mess, okay, like, we're not going to be able to have the right, you know, like, the right bug fixing in it or something like that. I don't know, I obviously don't work at Bethesda, I haven't seen anything behind. I don't even know if Starfield exists anymore, to be honest with you, but it's a theory that I've got that I do think that Starfield, they or whatever they've got working on, it wasn't right, and they needed more time to work on it. And Bethesda have got this whole thing, like at the end of the show they said everything that they said so far is coming out this year. You know, they wanted to maintain this thing that everything on there is coming out in 2017. So Starfield or whatever Bethesda Game Studios are working on, they must have said, like, we're not going to be able to get this game out this year and without it being a complete mess. We want to get this game right. We had a lot of criticism for Fallout 4, Skyrim, and even Fallout 3 and Oblivion of being really, really buggy messes. It's not right. We needed to sort it out for next year, and we need it to be sorted for. So we can't have the game coming out in a mess and getting completely panned for it like we did last time. So we're going to push it back a year, and then when probably Bethesda probably had it in a talking around about it, and thought we're not going to announce it at the show if it's going to be more than a year away, to kind of keep this image that they've got of you know, of what Todd Howard said, that they like to announce games and then have them release a couple of months after and stuff like that. So I think that's the reason why, because it's just like, why would they have all like a starfield behind them and blinking stars and the images and stuff like that, and the space stuff and the kind of the theme that was kind of going around with the theme park theme as well, to be all there if they're not announcing an open world space game? Like, it just felt odd. It just felt a bit weird, and with it kind of ending abruptly, and then it just it didn't have that last 30 minutes of, you know, a guy coming on stage and talking about his stuff, and it would have had that as Starfield was announced, or the Bethesda Game Studios game was announced. So I still believed it was meant to be announced at this show. I just feel like they knew we weren't going to get it ready, and they made a decision, okay, let's wait till next year's E3 to announce it. If it's going to come out a year in Christmas, let's announce it then. But, hey, you know, like, part of me thinks, like, I would have preferred a trailer now just for them to acknowledge it. If they gave me a trailer now, and then, or Todd Howard come on stage and showed a bit of the stuff of what the game's like, and then said it's coming out next year, I think I would have come out of the conference satisfied. But, and, you know, there would have been a discussion like, you know, I think we would have said, you know, like, they should have announced it next year to kind of maintain this image or whatever that they've got. But I think I would have been a bit more satisfied just to have seen Starfield, you know, on stage. But then that is that thing, you know, I am being a hypocrite that I say time and time again that I like games to come out as soon as they're announced, so I can't really complain. It's just that, you know, I am at fault, really, you know, for hyping. It seems I hyped up a couple of people in my comment section up, you know, that Starfield was coming. I hyped myself up too much. I kind of talked myself into it a bit too much. And yeah, I just kind of walked away, ended up being disappointed. I still think it's a disappointing showcase. Either way, even after I've simmered down on it, there wasn't that big surprise there. If there was that big surprise there, you know, like, that would have been really cool, but there wasn't, you know, there wasn't that surprise there. The presentation was great. I just feel like they didn't have to do a conference. Like, they could have just done this. They could have done a YouTube video that they released the day before E3. You know, they could have just done a YouTube video showing this stuff and gone, boom, this is what we're doing. But they paid a lot of money to get the stage, to get the attention, to say that they were doing an official press conference for E3. They did a lot of money, and I think it's backfired. I don't think it's done that well for them. You know, I think it's maybe got people's attention onto the new Wolfenstein, but other than that, I'm not really fussed about it. You know, I don't think it's done that much for people. And it has been interesting, the kind of the gaming sphere's kind of reception to this press conference, it seems the hardcore Bethesda fans are very disappointed with it, with the lack of stuff there, because they kind of knew everything that was going down. But people who don't tend to like Bethesda games, you know, tended to like the conference a bit because of the presentation of it all, and they said that, you know, like Wolfenstein and Evil Within are kind of more interesting to them as general media games than something like Dishonored and Prey, you know, which is kind of good for the it's good for the non-Bethesda fans, which is maybe something that you could kind of say the conference was a success. But for someone like us that watch these videos about Bethesda, really try and analyse everything, I think we can quite confidently say there wasn't enough there for us. You know, we can walk away from it disappointed. You know, it doesn't even have to be Starfield, but there just had to be something at the end, you know, to get a big thing out there, and there wasn't that, you know, and I'm disappointed. I still think Starfield is a thing. I still think that Starfield is... It's definitely not coming out this year now. I think it will come out next year. I think we'll hear about it at E3 next year. That's what I do think. Because if we don't hear about it next year, then the Todd Howard thing that he said about hearing about their games more regularly was false. You know, it's like it's wrong. And I did believe him when he said that. But we're going to have to wait and see what's going to happen in the future. But let me know in the comments, guys, what you thought of the Bethesda conference and everything and all the announcements there. Is there anything you're excited about? I'm still very excited for Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus. I think it's going to be fantastic. I'm really looking forward to that game. But, yeah, I want to bring, like, there's a Adam Boyes, there's a story of Adam Boyes where he says that at PlayStation, when they made their conferences, they tried to make stuff there that really kind of gave people, like, 3 things. Like, every person that watched that conference had 3 things that they could walk away from and say, I'm really excited about these 3 things in that conference. And, you know, like, there'll be, normally in a conference this year, like, about 10, 15 things, and then everyone can, you know, have a couple of things that they're excited about. I've really got 2 in there. Like, I've got the Dishonored expansion and the Wolfenstein New Colossus. I think most people would probably say they've got 1, if I'm going to be honest with you. I don't really... If you're a hardcore ESO player, I don't see you walking away being pumped. You know, I think the real winners here are VR users, VR owners who are Bethesda fans. I think they're the real winners of the conference and everything. And maybe Evil Within fans as well. But, you know, like, I'm not excited. I didn't come away from that conference excited. I come away from it very disappointed. So just let me know what you think in the comments below. Follow me on Twitter, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.